My name is Modupe Ehirim. I'm a married educator and counselor. I've been doing this now for 9 years. Prior to 2016, when I took the Fsec course, I was a bookseller. I had actually operated a retail bookstore for 15 years and then I wound it down. I then volunteered in church to be a marriage counselor, and that was what introduced me to premarital counseling. When I worked with the young couples in church, we actually did 14 hours each with them, each couple, and I learned a lot of things. And I started to think to myself that, wow, 6 weeks before the wedding, it's not sufficient to help people to learn the things that they needed to learn. So because of that, I started looking for ways to help other people. I then was invited to the Family Life Industry Dinner in May 2016. And there, they spoke about the Family Systems Engineering Certification course. And I was really, I was enthused because at that stage, I just was looking for anything that would help me to get started. And so in July 2016, I went for that program. And since that time, I have then become a marriage educator and a counselor. Essentially, I'm somebody who has read a lot. At the time that I started, working with people in this way, I already was married for 31 years. And in my own 31-year journey, every time I encountered issues, I actually went to buy a book to find answers to the question. Personally, when I was starting marriage, I already told myself that my marriage was going to succeed and it was going to depend on me. It didn't mean that I wasn't waiting for my husband. It simply meant that I was going to be looking for what was in my power to do. So over those 39 years, I had actually acquired a lot of knowledge. What I mean is, communication, how to deal with somebody who is different from you, how to make decisions with somebody who is different from you. But when I came into Fsec, I met some things which, with the benefit of hindsight, I'm wondering why it doesn't occur to us. And going forward from there, I had to change some of the way that I was doing things. FSC has taught me many things, first of all, but let me mention the 3 significant ones. So the first thing that I learned from the FSC certification program is the use of what we now know as the Oyela assessment. Essentially, what is the Oyela assessment? It is an assessment that we have created to address the issues that are peculiar to us as Africans, but which over the years has now found acceptance even with people who are not Africans. Prior to doing the FSC certification program, I would usually spend hours talking with individuals or couples who I wanted to work with in order to know what was really going on in their life. When somebody comes to you, they tell you what I call a presenting problem. So they might say, my husband is not giving me attention, or my wife is not reliable, all of those kind of things. And ordinarily, the way most people will go at it, myself included, is to begin to say, oh, your wife ought not to behave like that, and then to begin to prescribe solutions. FSC showed me that the presenting problem is a symptom. And the assessments are like, what doctors use when they send you to the laboratory to do a test. So I changed from being somebody who just addressed the presenting problems to somebody who now uses assessments, questionnaires, even before I start talking to a client, so that I can have the context to their situation and also a lot of history. So gathering history used to be something that you'd be asking a lot of questions, but now using one assessment, you can actually get to know a lot about the client even without it. So that's the very first thing. The second thing that FSC showed me is the role of a person's origin, nurture, life experiences, and life exposure. When you meet me today, who you are seeing is actually a summation of the last 66 years that I had lived. And That was very intriguing for me, because usually you look at an adult and you are assuming that they're a mature adult. That means that you're going to be giving them counsel and guidance and working with them as though they're an adult. Sometimes knowing what has happened to them just makes you realize that no, the person sitting in front of you chronologically may be an adult, but actually has many other things that have happened in their lives which makes them lower than an adult. So that's the second thing. How did I learn about FSC? I just saw a post on Facebook in 2016 saying inaugural family life industry dinner. And we were told where it was going to take place, and I showed up there. When I showed up there, I remember that Dean Manwobi, who is the Director of Studies in the Institute of Family Engineering and Development, she read to us on that day a vision of what could happen if people took family life industry seriously. And then at the end, we were told that if we wanted to be part of that vision, we should sign up for the Family Systems Engineering Certification Program. And that was taking place the following, I think about 6 weeks later, and I signed up for it. And that's how I came to do Fsec. What has Fsec done for me as a person and as somebody? Essentially, it has given me a structure with which I have now come to influence people. I don't consider myself an influencer. What just happened is that I was somebody who realized that the ground had shifted from under us, which means that family life was now, the environment in which we were doing family was different. I really wanted to help people to understand that, and I probably would have found a way. The only thing is that Fsec made my journey to finding the way to doing that much shorter. And to let you know the impact that Fsec has had on me, I've had a community on Facebook which has now grown to 31,000. On my Facebook page, I have 133,000 plus people following me and learning from me. People read my posts from all places in Africa, East Africa, West Africa. People read my posts from Australia, from Southeast Asia, from Europe, from North Americas. And people send me DM asking questions. And the honest to goodness truth is that if I didn't come across a structure like Fsec, which gave me a framework to have communication with people, let me say that again, which gave me a framework to have communication with people. Because when people see me write on Facebook or in Instagram and in all the places I show up, they just think that I'm speaking from my mind. But the truth really is the family systems engineering framework that helps us to know that, people are who they are because of where they are coming from. That's the first thing. Then, which says that when you know where people are coming from, then you can look at the issue they are brought to you from the lens of how do you address the root problem. If I did not have those structures, I'm sure that I would have been overwhelmed by people's needs, people's sufferings, people's unhappiness, and I might have long gone away from this work, because you can't carry people's challenges on your shoulders if you don't have proper structure for addressing it. So for me, that's what the family systems engineering approach has done for me. Most people usually think that it is only to do with marriage. Anyone who is concerned about how our country, Nigeria, is, how the continent is, and perhaps how the entire world is, one thing that I think they all need to realize is that if you do not understand how a problem came to be, you cannot really address the problem fully. The family systems engineering approach offers a framework with which to understand what is going on in the lives of the people. I give you a practical illustration. I look at business owners. They complain about the employees that they recruit. That's because they're looking at the employees as they are. What if a business owner went through the Family Systems Engineering program and learned, that every employee I recruit is coming from a family. Every employee I recruit is coming from an environment which has shaped them to be who they are. What do I need to have in place in my organization such that when I recruit this employee, or any employee for that matter, just by reason of taking them through something like the Oyela assessment, I have a sense of who they are and where they're coming from. And so in assigning them to managers, I can actually do programs and trainings that help this employee to overcome some of the things, trauma that they have had that have shaped them into who they are. And then do that repeatedly. Once that kind of thing is institutionalized in that businessman's enterprise, he has set himself up for success. What most entrepreneurs do right now is just look at the qualification of the person, and that is great. But somebody who has, by their personal experience, become a person who resists authority, how would they work with a manager? Or if they are a manager, what kind of a manager would they be? So for me, anyone who has any intention of influencing people, of mentoring people, of changing people's perspectives, of building stronger individuals that can work with other people, collaborate, be a part of a successful team, should consider going for the Family Systems Engineering Certification Program.